recorded. I'm glad I've done that because I was worried I was going to forget to record it. So now I'm just going to share my screen and then we'll make a start. I've got a little bit of a problem with this screen sharing actually. And what it means is that I do have to flick between screens, but it'll be okay. So can you all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, good. That's really good. Okay, so we'll make a start. So for those who don't know me, I'm Kay Holdsworth, and this is a topic that is really close to my heart for definite. And you probably know that Carpe Diem, it means to seize the day, to enjoy life, to make the most of it, because let's face it, we do not know how long we have. So we want to enjoy our life and make it as meaningful as possible for us. And by the end of today's session, you'll have three action steps to take away with you, and hopefully more clarity on what a meaningful life means for you. And we're going to do what I think is a really wonderful, powerful practice. We're going to do this powerful practice together. And I really hope that just doing that practice in itself brings out maybe things that are really important to you that maybe you're not giving the attention they deserve right now. So I don't know your reason for coming. It might be that the title of the webinar appealed to you because maybe like me, you don't want to get to the end of your life wishing that you'd done things differently, because the number one regret, according to Bronnie Ware from her 5 Regrets of the Dying, is that we wish that we'd had more courage to be true to who we are, to be true to ourselves. And I certainly want to get to the end of my life feeling that I'd lived it fully. You might also be here because you just want some inspiration, or maybe you're stuck at this point. Maybe you just want a little bit of direction, or maybe you're just curious and you just wanted to find out what it was all about. And whatever your reason for being here, you are totally welcome. And also feel free to use the chat. At the moment, I'm moving in and out of screens, but it would be great when we start to use the chat as well. And just a little bit about me then. So who I am. So at the moment, I'm a wellbeing, well, I was a wellbeing practitioner for 4.5 years at Leeds Trinity University, and just recently been promoted to student counsellor. I'm a solo mum. I've been a solo mum for 9 years now. I've got a son who's 9. And I know what it's like to feel like you've forgotten who you are. Because when I had my son, a number of chain reaction events happened in that particular year, which led me to have full-blown anxiety. And I found my way through that, but I was left feeling for about 5 or 6 years, just didn't recognize myself anymore. My life had got a lot smaller. I wasn't enjoying my life. And I remember doing a New Year's intention setting activity where you reflect on the year that has just gone. And I was journaling, and one of the questions was memorable moments from the previous year. And honestly, I could not think of any. Sorry, Elaine, I've just let you in. And yeah, I just could not think of anything. I drew a blank. And all I remember writing, this is just a year of just coping, just surviving, just holding on. And my dad died in 2019, and that was a really important lesson for me about tomorrow not being promised. Because when after my dad had died, there was all these travel brochures and travel brochures coming to my mum's house. And it was clear that my dad, because he knew he'd been poorly for some time, he hoped that he'd get well from the operation and he planned to travel. And he never did. He never got that chance. And his life, for sure, had over like the last 15 years or so, had become incredibly small, and had not had any travel in it whatsoever. So I think, Carpe Diem, if there is things that we want to do, experience, feel, then we need to do them. We need to do them, and we need to start to act, because if not now, then when, So I'm going to share a powerful practice with you. And before we begin, has everyone got pen and paper? Yeah, everyone got pen and paper. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And also, just to mention, we are going to be touching on the subject of death. Okay, so if that feels like it's something that might be too triggering for you today, then that's okay, and feel free just to leave the session. Okay, and because it might not be for you today. To do this powerful practice, we are going to, first of all, I'm going to guide you into a visualization, and it's not going to be too long. And what I would say about it is not everyone can visualize. I know I struggle with it, so I'm not expecting you to see things in pictures. You just go with whatever comes up for you. Okay, that you can't get this wrong. There's no wrong or right. It's just go with it. And then once we've done that, we're going to do a 5-minute journaling activity together. Okay. So all I ask now is that you get yourself really comfortable, because we're just going to ground ourselves. So wherever you're sat, if you can just let your feet touch the floor, just settle as much as you can, just make any little adjustments to get as comfortable as you can. Letting your hands become loose and heavy. And if it feels okay, just let your eyes gently close. And if that doesn't feel right, just allow your eyes just to gaze downwards. And become aware of the temperature of the room, warmth or cold. And now just become aware of your own breath. So connecting to the inhale, seeing if you can relax a fraction more on the exhale. Just letting the breath become easy and effortless. And maybe a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit slower. And with every out breath, maybe you can just relax a little bit more. So on the next out breath, softening the shoulders. As you exhale, relaxing the jaw. And then just take one more nice deep inhale. And just let it out, keeping the eyes closed. I just want you to imagine that you're having travelled forward in time to the end of your life. And you are in your 80s or 90s. And you laid in bed or sat in bed. And you're not feeling any discomfort or pain. And you're just reflecting back on your own life. And this is the life that you'll lead if you stay on the path that you're currently on. So as you look back on your own life through the eyes of your older self, I want you to connect to what mattered most. What brought you the most meaning, the most pleasure, and the most satisfaction? And what would your older self wish that they'd done more of? And what would your older self maybe wish they'd done less of? So consider how you showed up in the world, the small and the big ways that you contributed, the work that you did, the relationships that you had, the people that you shared your life with. Just take a moment just to be with that. Just connecting to what was important, what mattered the most, what brought you the most meaning and satisfaction. Take a nice deep inhale, the biggest breath you've taken all day. Fill the belly, fill the lungs, and then just let it out. Expand your awareness, bringing yourself back into the space that you're in today. Maybe wiggle fingers, wiggle toes. Give yourself a stretch and gently open your eyes when you're ready to. Okay, so in a moment, we're going to do our writing exercise. So just get your pen and paper at the ready. We're going to do this for 5 minutes in total. And you are going to write, in fact, I'll just move the screen on so you can see what you're going to do, because I've got it on the next screen. You're going to write a letter from your future self. A letter from your future self to you now. So as you can see there, I put Dear Kay, and I'm going to write a letter with the advice and wisdom that my older self would wish to pass on to me now. What would they want to tell me? What would they encourage me to do? What with my remaining time here on earth? What would they love me to do more of or less of? Yeah, that's what we're going to write about, okay? And you're going to write it like a letter. So, dear, and whoever it is. So, when we're ready, I'm just going to let in Mariella. And it's 1:17 now. So, we're going to do this for 5 minutes. And Mariella, don't worry, I'll share this in the chat for you as well. So, don't worry. And what I'd suggest is just keep your hand moving on the page. Don't worry about punctuation, spellings, or grammar. It does not matter, okay? We want to sidetrack our critical mind. And by doing that, the best way to do it is to write quickly, okay? So if we're ready now, when you're ready, 5 minutes, writing a letter from your future self to you now. Just one more minute. Okay, so just finishing off what you're writing. And what I'd like you to do now is to get a pen or a highlighter and just go through what you've wrote and pick out the main themes, what you feel is the most important for you to remember. So, what's significant? So, we're looking for, well, 1 to 3 things, but ideally 3 things that really, like common themes that are coming through about what matters most. So, for instance, for me, the top 3 that came through, I didn't do this exercise now, but I've done it before, is to, and in no particular order, to spend more time outdoors in nature, having more adventures. My number 2 was to spend more quality time with family friends, in terms of also getting back in contact with some old friends too. And 3 was to honor my dreams and to honor my dreams and to show up for them. Is anyone open to sharing anything that came up for them? There's no pressure to, but if anyone does want to share anything, then that would be lovely. Aileen?
I've actually taken 4.
Yeah, go for it. 4. You've got 4. That's good.
I'm also a single mum, and my daughter's 11. And
Right.
I've
Yeah.
been
So
single.
we've got similarity there then.
So take more time for myself to have fun, and I'd like to go back to dancing and singing classes.
Mm-hmm.
Talk more kindly to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on people who really lift my spirits,
Mm-hmm.
and be proud of yourself.
Okay, lovely. So to dance and to sing more, to do things which lift your spirits, and to enjoy your life and be kinder to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else want to share? We've got time, I think, for one more person. Someone said,
Yeah,
I don't know who it is. Oh, it's Chloe. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, mine first one was like choice and worry. Anxiety and worry for me is now like a choice. Like I'm just choosing to be anxious.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what works for me. And then live in the moment, stop worrying about the future too much. I think that's been a common one for me over the years. And then acknowledge my achievements, because I do it like once a year and I don't do it enough, basically.
Yeah, I think a lot of us don't appreciate how far we've come and all the progress we've made. And what you said then about the anxiety being a choice, that's interesting, is that because although it's a little bit different, one of the top 5 regrets of the dying was I wish I'd chosen to be happier.
Yeah.
Similar, because we do, we're not choosing to be anxious, of course, but there's that sometimes we can end up falling into it, can't we? And actually we do have more choice sometimes than we actually give ourselves credit for. So that's good. Thank you, Chloe. So the next part of, step 2. So we've done step 1. Now we're moving on to step 2. And what we need to do is we need to get a sheet of paper, get a clean piece of sheet of paper, and just make a line down the middle, one middle column. So you've got 2 columns on either side. What matters most in the first column, and then your action steps. And we're going to come up to, we're going to have 3. But if you don't come up with 3, that's okay. If you just by the end of today have one action step that you actually put into practice and do by the end, like say by next week, then that's a win, isn't it? It's a massive win. So sometimes less is more. But yeah, so you're going to number it 1, 2, 3. So really give yourself space to write. I'll just give you a moment to do that. And on the side where it's what matters most, I want you to come up with 3, like Chloe and Aileen have already said 3 or 4. So really try and focus it, be as clear as possible as to what it is that you need in terms of making the most of your life, what matters the most. So you're going to 1, 2, 3. So for instance, my 1 is to get out in nature more, to go and have outdoor adventures. 2, it's to really give some more quality time to my family and my friendships, to nurture them more. 3 is to honor my dreams. You just give us a thumbs up if you've done it, or yeah, although I can't see everyone, so you've done it, Chloe. Yeah, you've done it, Ellie. I'm going to assume you've all done it then. If you haven't, you can always come back to the replay. You can always come back later. So as long as you've got 1 down, that's the main thing. Okay. And now I want you to think about, in terms of your life currently, how you're living your life currently, how much time and energy and yourself are you currently giving to these things on a scale of 1 to 10? So 10 being, yeah, I'm fully shut, I'm Carpe Dieming here, I'm waking up to what matters most, I'm giving these things that I say are so important to me a lot of attention and my time and my energy? Or is it like a 1 or a 0 down at the bottom? And if you could just type it in the chat, what number you feel you're at the moment. I mean, 1 might be that you're actually giving, 1 thing that you're saying might be giving a lot of time and energy to, but maybe other things you're not. So just write a number in the chat if you can. And even share. So for other people, if you want to share what things came up for you in terms of what matters most, that would be great in the chat too. I haven't got anything in the chat yet, but Oh, here we go. So Chloe's giving choice a 5, living in the moment a 3, okay, and not acknowledging my achievements a 6, okay. So living in the moment, Chloe, is something that needs to be given more attention to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. What would that look like, do you think? Because, you know, we can't always be constantly living in the moment, can we? In terms of, yeah, life, we'd love to be mindful all the time, but we're not always. But what, you know, if it was a 4, what would that look like for you, do you think?
I think just like not worrying too much about what would happen to like family and friends, obviously with my mum and stuff. Like I'm not trying to think too far ahead because obviously everything's okay right now. But yeah, I do get into the habit of like, well, what happens in a year? What happens in 2 years? And then yeah, just life changes, like having children, moving into like a house and stuff. Like for me, like moving into a home is probably a bit sooner, but like children is definitely at least like 5 years away. So it's not something that I need to even consider or think about right now. And sometimes I do kind of get stuck in thinking about what's going to happen several years on when it's not always necessary.
Yeah, we can get really future oriented, can't we? And just be our head so busy thinking about the future that we forget about the present. Yeah, so let's have a look what else. 3 things is a 2 on being kinder, Karen, and to myself, a 6 on travel, local and worldwide, and 4 on expanding my opportunities or more social contact. Okay. And then I've got Elaine's put friendship and dancing as well. Okay. So then step 3 of today's activity is that on the opposite side, so you've got the 3 things, I want each of us now to come up with a micro action, something that you can do, ideally in the next 24 hours or up to a week. Okay. So, one action step that you can take fairly easily. So, it's not going to be pushing you completely into like a panic zone or stretching you so much that it's going to overwhelm you. We want this to be manageable. We want this to be doable and achievable. Okay. But we do want to take action as well because we don't just want to feel good about this in the moment now. We want to make it happen. So think about what you've said. So for instance, if we look at, let's have a look. So, for instance, dancing for Elaine, right? So, Elaine could now decide that maybe the first step would be just to Google, do a bit of research and find out what dance sessions, events are on, and yeah, put it in a calendar or invite a friend to go, something like that. Let's have a look. We've got Roshio as well. Living in the moment, value and love myself, and look after my well-being and health. So Roshio's might be, what's her step? What's her one step that she can do this week to help herself to move forward in terms of looking after her well-being and health? So it could be that she's going to go for a walk, or she might be drinking more water, or making, I don't know, choosing to make a healthier meal, to go shopping and buy some healthy food in, whatever it might be. So when you're ready, I want you to write down the 3 action steps that you've got for each one. And if you feel happy, then pop them in the chat as well. Okay, let's have a look. So Karen, oh no, that's from before. So Chloe, you've got to have a good time tomorrow at the work awards night. Let my hair down. Yeah, to enjoy it. That's living in the moment too, isn't it? So that is a choice as well, isn't it, to enjoy ourselves?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we can go out and we can struggle to let ourselves go. Speak with James and just be open and honest about future events, yeah? And achievements, write down what I have achieved in the last 4 months. Yeah. Mariella's is decluttering, so I have less housework and spend more time. Actions, spend 45 minutes this weekend sorting out a room. Yeah, so it's just taking those steps, isn't it? And it's in the way it can be like these things might not seem like decluttering. It might seem, well, how is that helping me to create a more meaningful life? But it has a knock-on effect, doesn't it? Because our surroundings and how they are and how they feel to us makes such a big difference to how we feel. So it does matter. And it's what we do in the day to day. Often it's the simple things that we do that make the most difference. Like in the longer term, when we're looking back on our lives, it can be the small actions, the more simpler things, like just spending time with people that really matter to us, like quality time with those people. Anybody else got anything? Let's have a look. And then Alien's put taking more time. Rest asking mum in the community to take my daughter for a few hours and overnight. So you can have a bit more space, Aileen, is that right?
Yes, because I have all the children come to my house, so now it's time to ask for some help for me.
And what are you like about asking for the help?
It's been a big problem for me. I always think I should do everything and I can do everything and I can't.
Right. Yeah. So you're aware of your own pattern then in terms of
Yeah.
yeah. So that's something then to work on, isn't it? Because it can be hard if you're just the person who has a limiting belief, I guess, that you have to do it all. And
Yeah.
actually that makes it so much harder for us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Especially as a single mum as well.
Yeah.
So, and if there's people out there who are going to help us, that's going to make a big difference, I imagine.
Yeah.
Right then. So, in terms of let me just have a look where I am on the screen. So I'll just move on to the next one. Yeah. So Carpe Diem, like I said, it means to seize the day. And the 5 top regrets of the dying, they are, according to Bronnie Ware in her book, the number one, like I said, was that I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to who I was. That was like a really big one, particularly for women, because women tend to be the ones who put their needs at the back of the queue, put everyone else's needs before theirs, and maybe care more about what other people think of us as well, struggle with our confidence, maybe don't feel like we've got the time to give to ourselves, our needs. Maybe we've suppressed our desires and longings and not got in touch with what we most need and want. So that is the number one. Number two was not to have worked so hard. That was a biggie. And 3 was to have stayed in contact with old friends more. And I can relate to this because when I was poorly, and then when I, for those 5-6 years when I was really struggling, I just withdrew and I stopped going out as much. I became like, I didn't even recognize myself, like I say, and I stopped getting in touch with people who, like some old friends. And so that's something that I know that I need to pick up on now in terms of, making those connections back again. And another regret is that they'd wish, like I'd said to Chloe, chosen to be happier. That was another one as well, another big one. So yeah. And we only get one life, don't we? This is it. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is not a dress rehearsal. I personally don't believe we're coming back round again. That's what I believe. And if not now, as I've said, when? Because it really isn't. Tomorrow isn't promised. And so what I'd like to share with you as well is the course that I'm going to be running. And I'm inviting all of you to join if you wished to. It's an 8-week course. It's called Find Your Spark. And it's starting not this Thursday, but next Thursday, which is Thursday the 9th at 1 o'clock, 1 till 2. It's going to be 8 weeks long. So there's going to be a WhatsApp group attached to that as well. Because it is a beta program, it's the first time it's ever been run. And although I have run different workshops and courses and things like that in the past, in terms of, for me, as like a business, then this is the first time. And because of that, because it is my first time, I'm going to give it at a really discounted rate. So it's going to be for £79. And that is normally the price would be £795. That's my hope anyway in September when I launch properly. So I'm going to launch properly in September. And all I ask, if you do want to join that course, is that you give a testimonial and some feedback on the course, because I'm going to put my heart and soul into this course. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be brilliant, and you will get, if you decided that you wanted to join, I do genuinely believe that it will be a great experience. It's going to cover a lot of different things in terms of connecting to, reminding yourself of who you are and what you want, what you need, and then how you can start to stretch yourself, to make things happen for yourself, to connect, to find your spark again, to get excited about life again and feel more alive, to feel more purposeful and meaningful. And so each week is designed to build upon each one. So it's things like looking at your own values, your own interests and curiosities, creating a vision for what you want, looking at taking action, what gets in the way of us taking action, also looking at what our natural strengths are, and some acceptance there and appreciation of who we really are as well, because that's a biggie. If we can be, I think Aileen said about being kinder to ourselves, if we can be kinder to ourselves, if we can appreciate ourselves more and focus on the good, that actually on all the progress we've already made in our lives, then that can make such a difference to how we feel and how we start to show up in the world as well. So I'm really hoping that some of you would fancy joining me for that 8 weeks. And I'll be sending the emails out. The emails will be coming out tomorrow. Oh, it's an application as well. I forgot to mention that. It is an application that you fill out the application. It's a really short application. And then, and also everyone who fills the application, I'm going to be offering a coaching session as well. So everyone will get a coaching session who fills the application in. I'm probably going to, I haven't made my mind up about this, but I'm thinking probably give everyone who joins the course a coaching session towards the beginning and a coaching session at the end. So has anyone got any questions about anything we've covered today, or anything they want to share? Or I'll just have a quick chat and check in the chat that I've not missed something. So what would you say is the main takeaway from today? If we can just put that in the chat, or even just go around and say it if everyone prefers. I'm going to ask you, Chloe, what's your main takeaway from today?
When you said if not now, when? I've heard that a few times, like in my workplace as well. And yeah, I just need to do a bit like with my driving, like just do it now, get it over and done with, and make the most of it rather than waiting and putting off.
Right, yeah. So that's hit a chord, has it, with that? Rochelle, did you put your hand up? Because I can't see any hands up here. I don't know why.
Yeah, sorry, I did
Hi,
physically.
hello.
Hi. Thank you, Kay. No, very nice. And I just wanted to say thank you for the exercises. It was really poignant to do this letter to myself from my older self. And also the second exercise, in a way, it's a little bit like Chloe, because there are a few things that I do really need to step up and do more seriously. However, there are other things that I am already doing, I'm already in the path, and perhaps I'm not recognizing myself enough for it. So as a way both of mm, giving myself also a pat and encouraging, right? So encouraging myself.
I think we do often. We're the hardest on ourselves, aren't we, than we are anyone else. We're harder on ourselves, and we put. I work with students a lot, and they, you see so many who put so much pressure and expectations on themselves, and they make their like time at uni so much harder than it needs to be. And I think that's often what we can do as well. I know that I did in the past. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be, I don't know, because I'd always been interested in self-help, self-development. And back when I first got into it, it was very American, and like these men who were like, you've got to go for your goals and you've got to do this, and you're reading all this, and you think, whereas actually it's not relatable maybe to my life, especially when I was like, a single mom, struggling in terms of, not, with my health and everything. I can't expect then to have like this, releasing a worldwide famous book or something in that time. It's just unrealistic, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's also that part of being kinder to oneself, right? Because as you said, we have perhaps these expectations, and I don't think there is a point in comparing, and just part of being kinder to oneself, and also, to shed light into all the good things that we're already doing, all the good steps that we're already taking. So thank you.
Yeah. And that's what the focus of the course is, as partly as well, is to do that, Rocio, because the more we recognize the good of what we're already doing, like seeing the good, looking for the good, then it's where your focus goes, your energy flows, what you give your attention to expands more, and therefore you just attract more of that into your life. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to jump on? No, I'll just wrap up then. I actually did forget an activity, would you believe? There was like another little activity and I totally forgot. There was like another writing activity, but it doesn't matter. I think it managed to go okay without that activity. But I just looked and I thought, oh my God, I'd forgotten to do that. So that's why we finished a little bit sooner. But yeah, it would be wonderful if you are interested in joining. Honestly, it would be a pleasure, like I say. And I genuinely believe that you would get an awful lot from the experience. And if you're feeling stuck, or you feel like lacking in some direction at the moment, or you just feel like, you just maybe just not need something to give yourself a little bit of a wake-up call, then perhaps attending the Find Your Spark course could be just that. Okay. So yeah, I wish you all, thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. And it was lovely because when it was getting to like 1 minute to 1, I was like, oh, nobody's coming. And then luckily people showed up. So thank you. Right, take care everyone then.
Thank you, Kay. It was great.
Thank you so much, Kay. It was excellent. Thank you.
See you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much. Brilliant.
Bye.